We Live in Time is in theaters now, and given that it's a romantic drama, you can be 100% assured that Andrew Garfield is not playing Spider-Man in this movie. Or is he? This episode's brought to you by Mando. Go to shopmando.com and use the code DAN for a special offer, and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell, here with my review of We Live in Time, which is being distributed by A24 and hit wide release this weekend after a one-weekend run in limited release. The movie's directed by John Crowley, his first film since 2019's The Goldfinch. He also directed Brooklyn, which was a Best Picture nominee back in 2016. And the screenplay is from Nick Payne, who's largely worked on Netflix original films and series in the past. Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield star as Almut and Tobias, a couple whose love story unfolds on screen non-linearly until the movie decides it doesn't anymore. Tobias is a recent divorcee who works for the cereal company Weetabix. Almut is an acclaimed chef who's just opened a restaurant, and we follow their life together from their first meeting to their decision on whether or not to have kids, to Almut's battle with cancer, all of which we see snippets of in the first 5 minutes of the movie. From the trailers, the stars attached to the film, and A24's name being on it, I walked into We Live in Time expecting it to be a drama, but it's important to know that this is much more of a melodrama. The strokes that are being made here are broad, not subtle. And there are a couple things that happen in the movie, like the couple's meet cute, which is when Almut hits Tobias with her car.
I ran you over. Sorry.
That seem more at home in a sitcom than a hard-hitting romantic drama, so expectations are important here. On paper, and by that I mean if you were just to read the screenplay, this is a movie that seems much more at home on cable or its modern equivalent, Netflix, but We Live in Time is a textbook example of what critics mean when we say that actors elevate the material. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh are two of the best actors working today, and they bring all of their talent and the likability that they fostered off-screen to a script that's honestly not that great. I kept really waiting to dig into this movie and really get into the characters and get into their stories, and it just wasn't happening, and I couldn't really figure out why until during one key scene, I stopped watching the actors and started listening to the dialogue, and I realized that the dialogue just wasn't very good. But what you could see here is what two really talented actors can do when they give dialogue that maybe isn't that good, full emotional commitment. We Live in Time feels kind of like if Vincent van Gogh filled in a paint-by-numbers book, so that when you look at the picture, you're like, oh my gosh, that looks incredible on the surface. But if you go underneath, you realize that there really just isn't that much there. With lesser actors, this would be a totally unremarkable movie, and even with these actors, there were some things that I had big problems with. For example, at one point in the film, Florence Pugh makes a critical decision, and it's one that really hurts Andrew Garfield. It breaks his heart, and I was waiting for the movie to loop back around to that and come to a resolution between these two that felt honest and raw and emotional, and instead it decides to kind of gloss over it and deal with things in a much more cliched way that doesn't really address the fact that there was some real hurt that was done to one of these characters. We Live in Time wants to deal with some very serious subject matters like cancer, a couple deciding whether they want to have kids, the choices that someone who might be dying can and should make for themselves, and how those choices affect the ones they love. But every time the movie brings up one of those topics, it's resolved with a scene that you've already seen in a million movies before. It feels like the writer wanted to include these heavy issues as a way to attract A-list talent like Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, and mission accomplished, but couldn't craft a story complex enough to actually deal with the issues. And that also extends to the non-linear structure of the film. You can do non-linear storytelling effectively if you tie the scenes from the past to the ones in the future and structure the overall screenplay so that the scenes play out in an order that serves the story overall. But We Live in Time seems to mash those scenes up randomly for the first, 2/3 of the film or so, and then abandon the concept entirely when it decides to just tell the rest of the story linearly. In short, it kind of feels like this movie wants us to think that it's a little deeper than it actually is. Now, that's not to say there isn't anything to like. Pugh and Garfield are great, and they do their best to sell every scene they're in, as ridiculous or cliche as some of them may be, and you buy them as a couple. Their chemistry is on point. They're well cast, and their performances are well done, and there are some scenes that work well, including a resolution to an argument that the couple has earlier in their relationship, but even that one is kind of couched in almost rom-com cliches, and they cut away before the real resolution to the scene. It's a halfway well done scene, but it just doesn't quite get all the way there, which I think says a lot about the movie itself overall. I think that as with a lot of movies, We Live in Time would benefit from setting a healthy expectation for what you want out of it. If you're looking for what some might call a weepy, basically a standard romance where one person gets sick and the other one is sad, then this is kind of the prestige version of that, at least from an acting standpoint. But if you're looking for a movie that really delves into these characters, delves into their lives, has something insightful to say about them as humans or about humanity, then I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of that here. And honestly, and I'm not trying to be snarky, Andrew Garfield put out a little video, a small video with Elmo, the Muppet from Sesame Street, about grief that I think actually offers a little bit more insight into humanity than this movie does.
When I miss her, I remember it's because she made me so happy. So I can celebrate her and I can miss her at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elmo really loves that, Andrew.
The MVPs of We Live in Time are most definitely Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, who are able to add a lot of emotion to a story that would not have had as much otherwise. And I really hope that we get to see these two together on screen again, because they, I think, are capable of some really great things, and they absolutely do their best with what they're given here. But I'd love to see them get another shot at this sometime in the future. So when we're looking overall at the movie, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh alone are able to drag it up to its fine territory for me. And again, I think a lot of it is managing your expectation and what you actually want from the film. But what do you think? Have you already seen it in theaters? Are you going to head out to see it this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, Mando. Even when you think your day is going to plan, you never quite know when you'll get thrown a curveball. With Mando, you don't have to worry about unexpected plans leaving you stinky when you don't want to be, because it's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. The other day, my best friend called me last minute and asked if I could watch his kids after school while he went to the dentist. There's just one problem. I was already at the gym, but not having time to run home and shower wasn't an issue because Mando keeps me smelling fresh all day, even after a long workout. I keep a stick of Mando Mount Fuji scented deodorant in my gym bag for that exact reason, and in addition to their whole body deodorant, they also make deodorant wipes, body wash, a cleansing bar, and more to keep every part of your body smelling great. Whether you're in a hurry or want to walk out of the shower smelling amazing, Mando has the product for you. And it was created by a doctor right here in the USA specifically to fight back against how BO is being misdiagnosed and treated. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. I'm a Mount Fuji in the pits, bourbon leather, and the rinse kind of guy, but you know, you can try your own combination and see what you like. And I do have that discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code DAN at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Once again, that promo code is DAN at shopmando.com. Thanks to Mando for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned right here for more movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.